Thorns, Zyra, Rise of the Thorns. We're in 2014 now. We're getting to the point where they abolish the Institute of War, but let's see where we are now.
Ladies and gentlemen, to another lore of League of Legends.
So loud.
In this episode, we're going to be heading back to the Kumungu jungle to cover a champion who, before she...
Kumungu jungle. Is that the one? Is the Kumungu jungle where Quinoa is from?
...became what she is today. Her race once dominated the brush-covered lands. I present to you the lore of Zyra, Rise of the Thorns. Enjoy. The Kumungu jungle can be a dangerous place. Many humans have lost their lives in the tropical forests in the pursuit of long-forgotten treasures to make their lives worth something more until the end of their days. Instead, they found themselves inside nature's domain, where the creatures and plants of the jungle hold the power, and humans are considered to be merely intruders. If anyone managed to wander deeper into the jungle, however, they'd find themselves in a place far more dangerous. There, in the area known only as the Plague Jungles, even the animals cannot feel safe. This part of the forest is covered in twisted vines and festering rot. If the Kumungu jungle was an image of nature's power, the Plague Jungles were an image of how twisted and dangerous nature could really be. Zyra was one of those who had forged the Plague Jungles into a place that they are now. She and her kind had come to the Plague Jungles and dominated it using their thorns and vines. They set traps for animals that were foolish enough to come near. They were plants, perhaps the most unlikely of predators in the jungle, but yet, they were one of the most dangerous. As the years passed, though, the animals of the jungle had learned to avoid the area. Only single beasts had been foolish enough to come near, but it was nowhere near enough to provide food for every plant in the colony. One by one, they withered.
I'm just gonna say this once. Zyra is so much into nature. I don't think she should be covering her boobas. That's not natural. Just saying. Adam and Eve, born of nature, they only had a leaf on the lower part. The upper part was free to roam the world. I'm just saying, you know?
Away, with only the strongest managing to survive. But even that changed eventually, and Zyra was the last remaining. She thought that she would soon die, perishing alone. But in an unexpected turn of events, a young unwary sorceress had entered the Plague Jungles after being drawn to unknown sources of magic that were hidden within. This was an opportunity for Zyra to survive. It was years since Zyra had sensed a living being, and so was lured in closer. She needed to satisfy her hunger to survive. Her vines moved in, slowly luring the sorceress into a trap, and soon she could not wait any longer. She enveloped the woman in vines, easily snapping the bones in her body, and her thorns had cut the woman's flesh, allowing her to savor the meal. But as the young woman's life essence flowed through Zyra's body, she felt something weird, some kind of energy that had been slowly filling her. With the power came the flow of memories, visions that the plant had never seen before. She saw great jungles of stone that had been built by the humans, creatures that she'd always seen as soft and weak. Yet they managed their own homes, their own forests. In those stone houses, she saw that humans and the animals they controlled had been living calm and peaceful lives. They didn't have to worry about beasts. They could develop. They could learn and improve their tools. Zyra saw the metal skins that they wore to protect themselves, but also humans who had been wielding magical energy, binding it to their will. Watching those visions, she was slowly learning to use the magical energy that she could now feel inside of her. She understood how to weave single threads of magical energy into more complex and bigger spells that would allow her to create things at her will. With these new abilities, she'd come up with a new plan of survival. She's created a vessel for herself, one that resembled a human body and one that would allow her to become one of them. She entered the vessel and was almost instantly overwhelmed by the raw power at her disposal.
Why can't she... You know how, like, her as a champion, she only has, like, she has the snare, she has the R that, like, knocks people up, does a lot of damage. She has the W, like the... What do you call it? The straight line thing that wakes up her... what do you call him? What's her other ability? Is it a passive? What's Zyra's abilities? I'm missing an ability. The fuck? Stranglethorns. What are her abilities? This one. Yeah, that's the thing. Okay. What's W? Oh, okay. Extra seed, lasting 6 in spines and grasping roots. Cast near seeds will turn them into plants to fight for Zyra. Zyra can store multiple seeds at once. Killing enemy reduces rampant growth recharge time. Oh, okay. So this is like she plants extra seeds. Oh, okay. I see. This is the root. Yep. And then the R. So what I'm wondering is, why doesn't she have like kind of like a suck ability or like an absorb ability to an extent? Because like how she absorbed the essence of the mage and gained magical power, why doesn't she have something similar like that in game? Where she either absorbs, basically with the easiest one would be absorb HP whenever your plants, whenever your spells directly hit some, not like your plants hitting, but like whenever like the stuff that you directly hit enemy champions with. Why doesn't that give her like life or something like that? You know, like it would make sense based on the lore, because that's pretty much what happened. Whenever her thorns shredded the enemy, she gained the essence, right? She sucked the essence out.
She was in awe.
Interesting.
But at the same time, she'd realized she'd become fragile. There was no way for her to escape death anymore. If her arm was cut from her body, she couldn't just retreat into a network of vines. There were no roots that would allow her to recreate her body once it was destroyed. But yet she enjoyed the freedom that came with this form. She felt
that's
alive.
a weird trade-off. How did
Watching
that
the
trade-off
world
even
as the
happen?
humans did, she left her homeland with a vicious smile on her face. The entire continent was open to her. She could now do whatever she wanted, with no boundaries to restrain her.
So she went to the
She
Institute
could
of War.
start her own colony, as her kin had done previously in creating the plague jungles. But for the time being, Zyra needed to keep her head low. She needed to learn to control her body and unleash its full potential. There was only one place where she could do that, without any
How is she keeping her head low in the Institute of War?
suspicious looks or mages attempting to constrain her. Following the memories of the sorceress that Zyra had murdered, she made her way to the Institute of War and
She
demanded...
didn't murder, she was a fucking plant. Like, she doesn't have... Like, it's like saying a tiger murdered a person. No, he fucking ate the person, okay?
introduced into the League as one of its champions.
The only place you can keep a low profile is the most high profile place on the fucking continent. My head, man. Some of these, like, lines are so weird. Alright, anyways, that's Zyra. See you in the next one. Peace.